Hello, hello, hello. Long time no see, everyone. I am, of course, KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston Round Ball Review. And joining me is a person who is not a stranger to the Houston Round Ball Review, take over the Round Ball Review YouTube channel, and all those great things. Miss Kennetra Pulliams, how are you, ma'am?
Hey Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Good to see you. Let's talk some sports. Let's talk some Kansas Jayhawks. Oh, well, let me back up in case there are some folks who are new to the Houston Round Ball Review on YouTube. Let them know who you are and what you do in your sports life.
So it's in my sports life. I dabble in a little bit of this and that. Work for freelance for ESPN Plus, Big 12 now, ESPN Plus. We do pregame and postgame for KU football, as well as for KU basketball, KU men's basketball.
Let's talk basketball first. KU basketball. When Hunter Dickinson
Hmm.
announced that he was returning for his COVID year, was that a surprise to you?
No,
Yeah, I don't. I thought that was like expected. I know maybe
yeah,
the national media was waiting for it to be official, but I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I thought he was gonna do that a long time ago.
No, yeah, it was basically, everyone here relieved, maybe, yeah, surprised, not much. Just after the way the season ended, both he was injured and, his production dropped when Kevin McCullough had his prolonged injury.
Hmm.
So there was more responsibility on Hunt, and KU did not do as good of a job as necessary in developing their bench. So a lot of all most of the scoring and most of the rebounding was on Hunter's shoulders, especially when McCullough was out. So, not only did he have to defend the rim, but he also had to score the ball and get the rebounds, because Johnny Furphy, he's a freshman. He is what he is. And so when he wasn't using his athleticism to rebound the ball, somebody had to.
And Coach Self said in October at the Big 12 Hoops Media Days that that was in October
Mhm.
that he had questions, not concerns, but questions about the bench. And folks were like, yeah, 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 whatever, coach. Yeah, whatever. But sure enough, the lack of experience and the quality on the bench, it came and reared its head, especially when all the injuries hit. So it wasn't a surprise, but as Coach Self does, he has reloaded. So any thoughts on who he's brought in via the portal these last few weeks?
I mean, the biggest, the people locally are excited about Zeke Mayo. He's a local Lawrence kid, so for him to be able to transfer home, to provide some experience, in the backcourt. Because really and truly, you still have Dewan Harris, at the point, and you still have KJ Adams, who I never thought that he was going to leave,
Hmm.
test the waters, much less transfer. He'll be back. Hunter Dickinson will be back, and so with that core nucleus back, it's and we still don't know about Johnny Furphy. He and Kevin McCullough have both been invited to the NBA pre-draft camp. We know Kevin McCullough has done. He's exhausted all of his eligibility. There's still a possibility that Furphy could come back. What's interesting with Furphy's status is just the fact that he's on an international visa. So that kind of challenges him from maximizing his NIL availability.
Right.
So I could, he's, he's young, he's raw, he's lean, but NBA loves potential, and they love upside, and they love young players. So he could go and spend a year in the G League and just develop and, really learn the game. Because, he was a late ad. He reclassified,
Right.
to come to KU. So he could still come back to KU. We'll see what happens. But now ESPN, they have KU as the preseason number one in the way too early, number one poll, and then Joe Lunardi has KU as the number one overall seed for whatever that's worth. Because let's remember, KU was a preseason number one last year, and how did that work out?
But let's touch on it, because now that Houston is a year plus in the Big 12,
Mm-hmm.
I saw you mentioned it. ESPN's Jeff Borzello did his way too early today, as we're doing this May 6th. And 4 of the top 5 in Borzello's way too early
Mm-hmm.
are Big 12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
KU 1, Houston 2, Iowa State 3, Baylor 5, and if I remember right, Arizona was 10. So 5 of the top 10, 4 of the top 5. I love basketball. I love the competition of it. I love the fact that Houston is in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
And even Lunardi, in his bracketology from a few days ago, with the newcomers coming in, the 4 corner schools, that'll be 16. He only projects 7 Big 12 men's teams to be in the tournament. But think about it. 5 of those 7 could be you said in KU number 1 overall seed in Lunardi's. Houston is also a number 1 seed.
Right.
So 2 number 1s. I think Iowa State was like a 2, and then Baylor and Arizona were like both 3 seeds. So in your opinion, yes, it's early, and I don't spend too much time on it. We won't dwell on too much. It's just conversation. But 7 Big 12 teams out of 16 make the tournament. Would that be good, or would that be a disappointment in your Big 12 glasses?
With the new look Big 12?
Yes.
I think that, I think that's fair. 'Cause, every conference is going to complain that they don't have enough team. Big East, ACC, they're all like, we didn't get enough teams in. So, it's nice fodder.
Sure.
Oh, we're so aggrieved. Oh, we're so wrong. Oh, look, we got a team to the Final Four. We should have had more. Whatever's clever. But it's just so hard in May to see what's going to happen in March of 2025.
And because I want to say either the Big 10 or the SEC, somebody had like 9 or 10 teams and already projected them in. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's good conversation. It's for clicks. One of my buddies, I let him know about that, about Houston, about 7 Big 12 teams. And he's like, is that for the 24-25 season? I was like, yeah. They're doing that already? I was like, yeah. Why? I was like,
why not?
I'm saying, hey, it's conversation, and they got to do something in May during the off season, talk about things. But is the Big 12, in your opinion, the best men's basketball conference in college basketball?
Best is such a
define how you want to define it.
Exactly. Competitive, deepest. You could make a case for Big East. When you're back-to-back national champions.
Make your case. How do you want to define it? You define it, and I'll listen to you. Your definition.
I think the parity has gotten better in the Big 12. Top to bottom, and especially knowing, with the influx of new teams, you look at, if, let's just say, if KU is the standard by which the Big 12, all of the Big 12 teams are compared, you look at the new teams that came in this year. UCF beat KU. Houston beat KU. Cincy beat KU. BYU beat KU. Now, when the final standings shake out, Houston was in the upper echelon. The other three, not so much.
Mhm.
But on any given night, and the fact that BYU comes into Allen Fieldhouse and wins again, which is a rarity.
Sure.
Neutral site, Cincy winning, Big 12 tournament, that wasn't a big surprise just because, KU didn't have its full complement of players, and they just kind of staggered down the stretch. You weren't really trending up heading into the postseason. And then you see it in the NCAA tournament against Gonzaga, a team that just was able just to, if you're able to run players out and keep them fresh. I mean, because if you look at just the minutes that Kevin McCullough and DeJuan Harris were playing, I mean, Bill Self had said many, many times that was a consistent line. Like, I need to get Juan some rest. He's playing 37 minutes a game, but like, who else is going to run the point that you trust?
Right.
So, and I think DeJuan's turnovers increased just because of fatigue, because they were limited in their scoring options. And DeJuan's first instinct is not to shoot the ball. It's not to score the ball. He can, but that's not natural. It's more forced. Even though, as much as they encourage him, Juan, get your shots up, let it fly, don't think, play with a free mind. It's just he's more of a distributor, and when other teams know that, they can defend him differently. Because many times he would drive and look to dish, but he would get hung up along the baseline. He would leave his feet, and now you're in no man's land, and you've got to force a pass through traffic. Sometimes it worked, many times it didn't.
Do you think Commissioner Yormark would prefer to have a national champion in men's basketball, of course, women's basketball too, or have 8, 9, 10 teams make the tournament?
I think you national champion. I mean, because like you don't need. I mean, hey, you get half your league in, and they don't make it to the second weekend. Like, who remembers that?
Right.
It's all about quality of wins, and more so than just like, hey, we made it. Like, we get a participation trophy. Like, no, like, make a run, get to the Elite Eight, get to the Final Four. Then we're like, okay, these are because like I said, it's NCAA tournament is all about matchups.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily who's the best team. It's just like, hey, how do you match up with this team that you haven't seen? Because like in Big 12, you play a team twice, sometimes 3 times. You scout that team differently than you do, like for instance, home and home, the Houston team that came to Allen Fieldhouse is not the Houston team that KU played to end the Big 12 regular season.
Right.
And Kelvin said that, when they left the field house, like, okay, but when you see a team one time, trying to scout BYU, that's tough. And you didn't have to go to Provo to do it. I mean, like, you play them in your house, but, you get up one time. So.
KU football, how's it going?
Oh, they are loving life. They put out, a big social media blitz about, 3 years ago. It's like 3 years ago, last week. It's like, when they started making history, with the hiring of Lance Leipold, who's just, really is everything and more than what KU thought they were getting. Just the buy-in from the current players, from the former players, the way he's, welcomed former players into the fold. The perception of KU nationally has increased in a positive way. And now with all of the investment, resources-wise, staffing-wise, the arms race of getting a brand new top-tier stadium, it's going to be there's going to be some growing pains because at first they tried to say like, oh, they'll be able to play 4 home games this year because they were trying to do renovations in stages.
Mhm.
But you really can't because like when you shake the bedrock of the infrastructure, what about facilities? What about plumbing? Like how stable, hey, we're only going to demolish half of the stadium and we can demolish press box side. Parking, where's everybody going to park? So this weekend is graduation, and the tradition is, you come down Campanile Hill and you walk into the stadium, like, but they're full-fledged into this stadium renovation. So, and I've asked a couple people who I know, who are graduating, they're like, I'm like, how's that going to work? They're like, I don't know. And plus with all the rain that we've gotten over the past week, it's very muddy out there. So I don't know how graduation is going to go this weekend, but as far as next season with football, 2 non-conference games will be played at Children's Mercy Park, where Sporting Kansas City's MLS team, where they play. So that will, that's in the Kansas side, in KCK. But the conference games will be played at Arrowhead Stadium, where the back-to-back Super Bowl champions play. So it's trying to find, you're trying to assuage the fears of the KU Lawrence community and the merchants and the vendors, like, hey, you're not going to have that game day revenue of 6, maybe 7 games. Also, how are you going to get the students from Lawrence, Kansas to Kansas City, Missouri? Like, KCK, you're about a 30-minute drive or so from campus, but now, like, you have to get shuttle buses, and how are you going to transport it? And then people are wanting to be like, wait a second, we are investing money into another state. Your recreational economic dollars are going into Missouri, and your big not your big rival, but the border war, University of Missouri. You're putting money into Missouri, even though it's a spacious stadium to where you can seat 70,000 people. But that's just kind of how it's going to be. And because supposedly it was supposed to be renovations taking place, and then 2025 they'll be back at home, back in Lawrence, and the Gateway Project and the
That's soon, huh?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Gateway Project and the convention center and the meeting rooms and the hotel and all this infrastructure. I mean, the renderings look great. It's just a matter of of being able to pull this off, but like it's a huge undertaking, but we'll see how it goes.
Will you be able to attend the football media day for the conference in Vegas?
In Vegas, no. Not going to Vegas. Just because we don't, because the thing is, like, really and truly, we only do pregame, postgame shows. So, like, we don't do anything, off season wise.
I'm not sure. I think we have. I'm getting older and up there in age. So I may have asked you this before. What's your opinion on the Big 12 doing a schedule release show for football on Big 12 Now and ESPN Plus?
I mean, you will have those diehards that will consume anything Big 12 related, and that's fine. I mean, I don't know how much traction you'll get out of it, and especially the fact that it's streaming, like, it's not going to compare to, like, your NFL schedule release show. But I mean, people are, because every school, they find their creative departments respectively, find ways to release the schedule, and I mean, that's fine, but I mean, those who just use the schedule and use Big 12 athletics and Big 12 football as oxygen, more power to them. It doesn't move the needle in my world.
Fair enough. Thank you for pouring cold water on my idea. I know because the SEC has their own network, linear. Same for the ACC. So they'll they'll do, a football show, all that kind of
Big
stuff.
Ten, yeah.
Big Ten, of course. I mean, the Big 12 now on ESPN Plus is what they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it, try it.
What do you have to
Grow,
lose?
try to grow your fan base and your interest,
Yeah.
and do
I
something with
mean,
Coach Prime,
now
or
that you
something. Yeah.
now that you're spanning time zones.
But just a thought out there, Brett Yormark. If you're watching, if you're someone knows Brett Yormark, I mean, you and I know people in the league office.
I mean,
Hey,
he is a visionary. I'm sure he has something in the works.
NBA playoffs. Any thoughts on it? You got a team you're picking to win it all?
I don't like to say I'm rooting for the Knicks.
Why?
Because of the Villanova guys. That's why. The Nova Knicks. That's my squad.
Did you go to Nova? No.
Nope. But anybody who knows me knows I am an honorary member of Nova Nation.
Huh. I did not know that. Learned something new today. I was today years old. Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough. I don't know what they're doing right now. They were losing at halftime tonight in game 1 of their series against the Pacers, but I got Boston coming out of the East. Okay, well, in general, what are your thoughts on Anthony Edwards and how he's performed so far in these playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, like that, that dude is inspired. I mean, he is a takeover spirit.
Do you see? I saw it today. I don't know if it's 2 different places, but I know one that folks are saying they see similarities to him and Michael Jordan.
I have seen those comparisons. I've seen like the split screens. I've seen just kind of like the transformation, the fade of one face into the other, and the mannerisms, the voice. How many times though have we heard, "Oh, baby Jordan. Oh, he's the next Jordan."
Okay. I mean, why did they say Kobe? I mean, it's more recent, generational. But anyway, that's about all I wanted to ask you today, Miss Pulliams. Good to see you. Good to
Yeah.
talk to you. Good to get your insight on KU. Football schedule comes out when? Was it announced when? Makes it official? When is all that going to happen?
You know what? I don't know. I haven't seen a date.
But you'll be doing pregame show for football.
Yeah, it'll be interesting just to see how how we do it differently now that everything is in Kansas City as opposed to being in Lawrence. So transmission wise, it's a little different because we don't have kind of just the media compound, satellite truck, just to be able to facilitate that. So I don't, because they use a truck not just for football. It's the other, volleyball, volleyball games that are on Big 12 now, ESPN Plus. They use, that truck. So it'll be interesting just to see logistically how they're able to fulfill the games that they're contractually obligated to do, in addition to pregame and postgame. So it may be kind of like how we do road games, and you just take a live view and then transmit back the content.
What are your thoughts on the ACC and the lawsuits by Florida State and Clemson?
It's I'm not going to say there's no merit to it, but it's just kind of like, hey, they want something to complain about.
Do you think it's inevitable? Do you believe it's inevitable that Florida State will leave the ACC?
It depends on what concessions are given to them. Like, are they going to pacify, Florida State? Because the thing is, it's just like when you have a selection committee made up of humans, there's going to be human error, and there's no perfect formula for it. Somebody, if the NCAA tournament expands, somebody's going to always complain like we should have been it, we got left out. College football playoff, even with the expansion of more teams, there's going to be teams who are like, we should have been included. We got left out. Our record was this and that. But part of the evaluation process is if you get hurt, if one of your stars get hurt, it affects, the consideration. So, we'll see.
Have you spoken with anyone at Kansas, any Kansas people, about if they have any concerns about the revenue gap between Big 12 and the Power 2?
Right. Like, how Yormark was saying, like, okay, he basically just went along, just go along to get along for now. But, he thinks that, let's just see how it goes this year. And then let's just reevaluate the distribution size of the shares of what teams get. So I haven't talked to anyone directly to see kind of what their legal standing or just kind of their opinion of, all right, here's our next chess move.
Do you believe it's possible that the Big 12 will improve enough in football to compete for a championship, a CFP championship, on a consistent basis?
Who would that team be?
That's my question for you. That's it. I don't know who it's going to be.
I mean, Oklahoma State. Arizona,
Utah. I mean, who could it be?
Yeah.
That's football makes college sports go round.
No,
So
absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah, football makes the money. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean, from where KU was to where KU is and where KU's headed, I mean, they think that, KU is going to compete for, because it's not like 0 to 100. It's like, okay, KU should be realistically thinking like, all right, we're going to be not just competitive every game, but should be in the conversation for a Big 12 title this year.
All right, cool. I won't say that about Houston football this first year under Coach Fritz. The losses will come this season, but they will be better coached, more hope for the future. So
how was spring ball?
It was well attended, considering it was just a bleacher setting because of renovations going on campus. So not everything was not available for use for football, but the bleachers were sold out. Coach Fritz is the right person for the job.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that, especially compared to the person who he's replacing. So, fans are happy and hopeful in Willie Fritz to get things turned around in Houston Cougar football. So that's a plus.
Yeah. He was, before they got Lance Leipold, before they hired his predecessor in Lance, Willie Fritz's name was mentioned around here. Just, because, he has Kansas City roots. So.
Mm-hmm. That'll do it. KP, Kennetra Pulliams, thank you very much. As
KG,
always.
Thanks for having me.
For taking time to talk sports with me. For those who would like to follow you on Twitter, how can they do that, ma'am?
On X, at K Pulliams.
Whatever. Musk, X, Twitter. Whatever.
Right.
At Twitter. K Pulliams. Okay. Yeah. Keep in touch. We will talk fairly regularly.
Cool.
You take care, and I will talk to you soon. And good luck to your Knicks.
Enjoy Vegas.
I hope to be there. We'll see. Take care.
See you, Chris.